Normally when a local campaign wraps up, the candidate just kind of fades into the background, bows out quietly. But Spencer Pratt, oh, he just declared all-out war. Let's dive right into this explainer because we are unpacking a truly viral phenomenon today. What everyone thought was just the expected end to a local race has completely blown up into a massive statewide and honestly, even a federal conversation. We're going to break down exactly what went down, the internet's wild reaction, and the very serious allegations flying around right now. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll look at the viral political declaration itself, Pratt's crusade to expose what he calls the machine, the bombshell blackmail threats, a potential gubernatorial alliance, and finally, the federal funding factor. Kicking things off with Section 1, the viral political declaration. Phase 3 begins. So picture this. Everyone assumes this is just going to be your standard quiet concession video. Yeah, not even close. This video, which he dubbed Saving LA Phase 3, absolutely exploded. According to the source, it racked up over 1.1 million views in literally a matter of minutes. I mean, that's not a slow burn, right? That is a digital detonation. It instantly grabbed an audience way, way beyond the usual crowd who follows local municipal politics. And it wasn't just people scrolling past either. We're talking 43,000 likes and 10,000 reposts hitting almost immediately. To put that into perspective, for local city politics, that level of momentum is practically unheard of. It took a hyper-local civic complaint and instantly turned it into this massive viral spectacle. And the tone of the video was super clear. He says, "I didn't get in this for political power. I got in this to expose this corrupt machine. It's war." Pratt is explicitly pushing back against critics who called his whole campaign a grift. His stated goal here is exposing systemic corruption. And honestly, now that he doesn't have campaign laws holding him back, the gloves are completely off. Moving on to Section 2, exposing the machine and diving into these specific grievances. So what exactly is he going to war against? Well, Pratt refers to his opposition as the machine. He frames this as a corrupt political establishment that just protects itself, insulates its candidates from any real accountability, and completely ignores the city's decay. The way he sees it, voters are basically forced to choose between candidates who are all just cogs in the exact same establishment. And his list of grievances is highly descriptive. He's pointing out these incredibly visible everyday issues: weeds in public spaces, widespread graffiti, garbage, drugs, feces on the streets, abandoned storefronts. But he doesn't just list them. He connects these visual symptoms straight to a larger economic collapse. He claims that as businesses and developers run for the hills, tax revenues just plummet, which then forces devastating cuts to essential things like police and fire services. And here is where the rhetoric gets really intense. He says, quote, "Every problem that plagues Los Angeles because of these two corrupt communists is going to accelerate." By tossing around labels like corrupt communists and arsonists, Pratt is purposefully leaning into this highly charged, polarizing language. It's a very deliberate ideological battle, warning voters that the establishment is basically going to hit the gas pedal on the city's destruction. It's super interesting because the source material actually draws a direct parallel here between Spencer Pratt and Donald Trump. They point out the overlapping traits, similar anti-establishment grievances, similar backgrounds in a way, and most importantly, this similar massive capacity to connect with their base. It's described as a masterclass in communication, figuring out exactly how to bypass traditional media entirely and just talk directly to the people. Which brings us to Section 3, the bombshell threat, blackmail, and the FBI. Okay, this is where the explainer takes a really sharp turn. The video pivots from your standard political ranting into incredibly volatile territory. He addresses his political opponent, Karen Nithya, directly. Pratt actually says, quote, "Is it possible that one of your employees may have a recording of you doing or saying something that would force you to resign in disgrace?" He's claiming to have secret, damning recordings, and he's flat out threatening to release them to force the resignation. And he literally ramps it up even further from there. He starts warning his political targets to stay awake sweating, threatening them with 5 a.m. door-busting FBI raids. By explicitly dangling the threat of federal agents kicking down office doors, he's trying to completely flip the script and trigger outright panic inside the local political establishment. It's pretty wild. Now, you'd probably think an aggressive, scorched earth approach like this would make a guy totally radioactive in politics, right? Well, actually, no. The source suggests these viral shock tactics might be opening some really massive statewide doors. The big question is, Will gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton bring Spencer Pratt into his administration? Let's dig into that in Section 4, a gubernatorial alliance. Hilton weighs in. So, enter Steve Hilton, who has just advanced to the California gubernatorial runoff. Reacting to all this viral chaos, Hilton actually goes on the record praising Pratt. He says, quote, "He had some really substantive plans as well, particularly on homelessness, that I fully support." He's basically saying that behind all the loud, aggressive social media dominance, Pratt actually has some really well-thought-out policy plans. Hilton did clarify that they haven't actually spoken since the video dropped, but he firmly confirmed that his door is open to bringing Pratt into his administration. I mean, wow, that is a massive takeaway. It really shows how much the landscape has shifted. Today, running a fringe internet war doesn't necessarily disqualify you from mainstream statewide politics. In fact, it might just be a resume builder. All right, our final section, number 5, the federal funding factor. HUD steps in. This is where our micro-level local drama crashes right into macro-level federal dollars. The source reports that HUD Secretary Turner is actually stepping in and announcing an end to what they are literally calling fraud-filled homeless funding for LA. So the federal government is stepping in to cut off specific funding pipelines to the city, framing it as a direct intervention against local corruption. The claims surrounding this are huge. The source details allegations of these federal dollars were allegedly being used to essentially rig local elections and that funds were used to pay, quote, infinity homeless people to live in Los Angeles. Whether this is a case of genuine policy reform or just sheer political retribution, the source paints this federal cutoff as an absolutely massive narrative victory for Spencer Pratt. So, zooming out, what is the big takeaway from all this? With these local blackmail threats, the teasing of potential gubernatorial alliances, and actual federal funds getting slashed, what happens when reality TV tactics successfully hijack municipal politics? Are we just watching the new blueprint for modern political warfare unfold in real time? It's a super provocative shift, and it leaves us wondering, is this just the new normal for our cities? It's definitely something we'll be keeping a very close eye on.